Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So I was watching this video that someone put on Facebook. I think it was Double Down Media. It's a rapper. I've forgotten his name. Sorry, but he was talking about Iran and Israel and all this kind of stuff. And obviously, it's from a standpoint. Like I say in these previous ones, we're all born in a place and a time, and that influences our bias, our truths, as it were, and who we will see as the good guys and who we'll see as the enemy. Like if a baby was born in a different country, you get a different view. Like if the same baby was born in Russia or born in America or born in North Korea or born in Palestine or born in Israel, you're going to get different views. Yeah, it's the same baby. So what is the difference? The difference is the surroundings and the teachings that are passed down by the numerous ways. And so we can get caught up in that, which I see a lot doing that. And when I look at it, I mean, yeah, you can make arguments. Obviously, we it's easy to look at what's going on in Gaza, and you can see that the devastation and the what's being done to humanity, and international law and all that kind of stuff. And it's easy to make that argument. But the thing is that, and like the Iran and Israel issue of Iran being attacked because of wanting to have nuclear weapons, and who should decide who the biggest power in the world with all the nuclear weapons says no, you can't have a nuclear weapon. Is that fair? Who's the most trustworthy of all of them when we look at history and what each country has done to each other? But what I can see, and I think the truest way, is rather than, because you get these people who are, and obviously you get, like, you're going to get a stark difference between, say, someone who's a follower, a Muslim, or a Jewish person or a Christian. Because especially like the Muslim and the Jewish, because the Israel and being a Jewish state, and Iran and Palestine being more Islamic, and therefore Muslim. Therefore, you're going to get those, see it as their brothers or sisters, and and defending their side, as it were. But what I see truly is they're all just as bad as each other. And it's like you get these people who will put a video on and they will say about all the bad things that, say, Israel or America do, and yet excuse the things that, say, Iran do or Russia do. And yet they're all doing it. They're all picking the international law. When they want to follow international law, they will. When someone else doesn't, they'll pull them up on it. Like we saw in the UN Council, where Russia were pulling up America for, whether they did have a justification for bothering another sovereign country because of imminent danger, whether it was imminent or not, whether there's evidence for that, whether they should have gone through the UN and gone through that resolution process that America did in the Iraq and Afghanistan illegal wars. Although they did there and they still managed to do it, so it doesn't really work, does it? But and yet forgetting that, 1 minute, you're telling that America's not following international law, but are you following international law with what you're doing with Ukraine and another sovereign country and taking that over? They all have their, like, well, I'm doing this, because of legitimate reasons, because there's terrorism, or I'm doing this because of the nuclear program, or I'm doing this because of whatever, and that then justifies their flagrant breaking of these international laws. And of course, the big problem is that once you start doing that double standard, that hypocrisy, then why is it then that other countries can't do it? You can't sort of turn around and say, well, you can't be hypocritical and have double standards, but we're allowed to do it. Like, we're going to have nuclear weapons and not join the IEA, but you can't have them because you're dangerous. And yet, when we see, like, like someone could look at this side of the story of, like, look at the damage that's been done to Iran. Look at the firepower that Israel have, the American jets that they have, the Americans on beck and call to come and drop, bunker busters on these nuclear sites. All this stuff. If you were to ask me, like, if I was a country, who would I want to attack me? Would it be Iran, who is this big threat that everyone talks about? Would it be Israel? Or would it be America? 100%. After what I've seen, I would pick Iran, because they seem, they don't, It seemed like they couldn't defend themselves. They didn't, any of I mean, I know like the others have got great defenses, but they don't seem to have the same kind of weaponry and strategic knowledge and intelligence as the other side. Well, that's an interesting thing, though, isn't it? That is the way it is, and yet they're meant to be this big threat. And the same as like the big threat of Russia, but yet Iran asked Russia to join in, and it doesn't look like they're going to join in. The same as like America, helped out Israel by bombing Iran, but they didn't help out Ukraine in the same way because they know the other side is Russia, and they're fearful of that. The same as they wouldn't do it against China. There's the big superpowers are not going to do it against each other because of it's a fair fight. They'll only do it when it's not a fair fight, and that has a whole argument over it. So what I see is, there'll be people who will say, that look at what Israel are doing, and then there'll be people who are saying, well, look at what Iran are doing, and there'll be people who are saying, look at what America's doing. But truly, if look at it objectively and from a human perspective, look what all three of them are doing. They're all just as bad as each other, aren't they? Because you've got, and even you can put Russia in the mix as well. Russia breaking international law by what they're doing to Ukraine, fighting each other over bits of land over, I want to own that bit so I can be part of the USSR again, or because I'm scared of what NATO or America may do. Is that a real fear? And then you've got, Israel, what's happening in Gaza, what they're doing there. I mean, I haven't seen in my lifetime anything as bad as what I've seen. But that doesn't excuse what, say, Iran do with funding of terrorism. They may see them as freedom fighters. And I know that Iran may, maybe some who, and I saw this in the video on Double Down News, the idea of that Iran, and I think I even saw a politician who was on Sky News talking about this, is that this idea that what America doesn't like is Iran helping Palestine. And yet if they say we're funding, well, I don't know, how would you get it around without it looking like terrorism? That's the issue. That yes, but the thing is they all fund each other, so it is a bit double standards because America funds Israel in the sense that it gives them weapons, and I'm sure, I don't know if it gives them money as well, like Europe gives money, or UK gives money to different countries and etc. So I don't know if that's happening or not, but obviously we can see that America's selling Israel weapons. In the same way that maybe Iran is, I don't know if they sell them to Palestine or to Hamas or Hezbollah, who are terrorist organizations, or whether they lend it to them. I don't know what the agreement is there, but it's sort of the same kind of thing. It's still, like proxies, isn't it? But the thing is that if you want to, I don't know, how would you, if you say you're Iranian and want to care about Palestine, how do you do it in a way that you're not actually, because the problem is like, yeah, okay, you can say that's the reason, but the thing is how is it Hamas and Hezbollah dealing with it? Are they killing, say, soldiers, or are they acting within, say, the framework of, say, an army would? Well, no, because we've seen that they kidnap people, which army people don't do. They also, the indiscriminate like suicide bombs or whatever, however these acts are carried out, are usually against civilians. And I know that you could say the same about Israel with its bombing of Gaza. See, this is the same. This is why, really, when you truly look at it, those that have the argument, well, this one, it's this one, is all of them. They're all just as bad as each other, no? And then there's countries who just sit by or clap the countries that they like, or, it's all words. So that's my view of it, that yes, you can pick these little arguments, these nuanced arguments, but really, when you look at it, are they any better than each other? Maybe they're slightly better, but they're all just as bad. They're all, doing these things that are against humanity. Take care, God bless, and peace.